to be playing with myself. For your benefit, I'm going to max out with Zerg and roaches and +1 in speed as quickly as possible. No opponent in the game, nothing. Because especially at the lower levels, it would almost be better if you played like there's no opponent in the game. But we're still going to make some concessions like building a few spore crawlers or some early links to deal with scouting adept, reaper, stuff like that. Like you don't want to pretend like they can't build units. But just safe and solid, when to get gases, when to get queens, when to get a third base. And you can pretty much do this in every matchup. ZVZ is a little dicier. Good job, me. ZVZ is a little dicier because they can make a bunch of Zerglings early, simply. So in ZVZ, you have to be a little bit more careful about whether or not they're making a big wave of Zerglings. Maybe not take a third base quite as quick, but instead wall off with an evolution chamber, 2 evolution chambers, and a roach horn. But the first Overlord against all the races, just going to the front. The second Ovi, now we're just going to go through them all. I'm just going to, like I was playing against a Zerg, but my second Ovi against Protoss is going to chill at the second base in case of cannon rush. You'll be able to see the pylons coming up, and then as the hatch is finishing, gets sent out. The second Overlord against Terran, 17 hatch, usually gets sent out towards the top or a location where there might be proxy racks. And then once you get there, you can turn, after it gets like to this location, send it to the main. It'll get there right before, and then 18 gas, 17 full, 17 full. You can turn that Overlord towards their main, and it'll get there between 3 and 4 minutes on most maps, which is when they're committing to their attack. So this is not going to be like super greedy. I'm going to die if he even thinks about attacking. We're still going to get Zergling speed. Roach speed. A few spore crawlers. Usually the timing to build spores. If you don't know if anything's coming, if you see something coming, you see that there's not going to be any sort of attack. The third OV is just going to be kind of close to my base, so I can get vision outside of it. But I don't want to be losing it to Vikings, Phoenixes. I want to have a backup, like in ZVZ, if it gets, for example, pushed back by queens. And yes, I'm hitting the keyboard a lot. I could be doing all this, well, 0 APM because technically the game ended. Let's assume we see an expansion, like we usually will. I'm pulling 2 drones off of gas after getting Zergling speed. As Zergling speed finishes, I'm going to go back into gas. That's the timing. Sometimes I'll wait a little longer, but that's a good general timing. And then 4 lings early are both for scouting and defending against like a Reaper, an Adept, stuff like that. Going to get a third. Against Protoss and Terran around 2:30, but sometimes it will be delayed by a Reaper or an Adept or something like that. Terran and Protoss. If against Zerg, sometimes you want to try to find out, which is why this Overlord is here. This Overlord is here to see another attack path potentially for Zerglings in ZVZ. Might get another OV. I usually like to put the 4th OV outside of my 3rd. Just give it a place to be able to see anything coming in there. And then let's assume we see an expand, maybe building some Hellions, something like that. There's a lot of basic early stuff that there's nothing, if they expanded at this time in the game, there's not that much of a threat. Like, it just can't be. A lot of, it's like, oh, he made an Adept, we need 40 Zerglings. No. I'm building another Queen. This Queen is going to get 1 Creep Tumor and then go to the 3rd. Zergling speed is done. I'm actually going to keep 2 of these drones here. It's okay to go over or under 16 drones. You still get more mining, even though it's red. I know red is scary. Even though it's red, though. Making a big round of drones. I'm going to have this as my extra creep spread queen. And going to get an evolution chamber, 4-minute spores. Now, if I had seen like a Stargate or something, I'd be getting those earlier. And then the lair. And a roach horn. Now I'm at 47 drones. I actually probably should have taken my gas a little bit earlier. But around 40 drones is when gas cuts. Because remember when you build a spore, or you build an extractor, or any of those things, you're killing your units. You are killing your drones, and you're paying to have them killed. And you're just hoping the benefit outweighs the cost. Now, I would have to make some more Zerglings if he's putting on early pressure, but before 5 minutes, there's really not that much that any race can do. Well, Zerg is the scariest because they can also make Zerg units, which are super good, right? But let's mine some of this gas here. Shift click. I have a whole short tutorial on the shift key and all its uses, and I'm using it a bunch here. I'm gonna go up to 62 drones. Now, it's just a nice number to remember. And we're at 5 minutes. I'm going up to 62 drones. And now build roaches. Just interspersing overlords in there. Now, if he had more air, or I felt threatened or something, I need it. I need anti-air. Can throw down a Hydra Den. I've got +1 on the way, which I started while the lair was building. I'm using camera location hotkeys to flip between the bases. And this point, so some of the normal timings, I'll just list off some normal timings to worry about. Most air units will hit a little bit after 4 minutes, if that's what they're going for, like, say, a Liberator or an Oracle. Mutas will not hit at 4 minutes unless they've done something absolutely crazy and you've done no scouting. Ling speed is, if they're on time, off of a hatch first, 3 minutes and 30 seconds, give or take a few seconds on either side. Warp gate is usually 4:30-ish, but that can depend a little bit on how much chrono boost is used. So if you see someone who's expanded, they can't have more than just a handful of gateway units until around the 5 minute mark, really. I don't feel threatened until that point. Like, here I could either be adding on Hydras. I could just continue, like, if he's going for ground, like, if I see it's a Terran player and he's going for a bunch of Hellions, or a Zerg who's also going for Roaches, well, the counter to Roaches is more Roaches. I figured that out. I'm just throwing Creep Spread down. I have the Creep Spread Queen hotkeyed. The other queens I'm using camera location hotkeys to flip around to. And the target here is 730. Like, if you don't make spores and you don't get an extra queen, you can get to that point a little quicker, obviously. But that's a risk, and I don't think it's usually worth it unless you're 100%. Like, you see, they have 2 robos. Well, then you don't need spore crawlers, because they're not making 10 void rays, alright? Like, it's not happening. And then right around 7:45. So 8 minutes. If you get 8 minutes and you do this build, as long as you make sure they've expanded. If they don't expand, you can't just do this. You can't just take 3 bases. You gotta. Well, the target, if they haven't expanded yet,
2 months.
is special. Well, remember, there are other parts of the map than right down the center. They can take bases in other places, but if they haven't done that by, like, the 4 minute mark, well, by the 3 minute mark if they're not expanding, because Terran and Protoss and Zerg all should have another base by that point, and if they're not, either they're hiding a base or they're gonna kill you. Or try to kill you. They're not gonna kill you because you have such a sick build, but they're gonna try. So, queens. The best defense is queens 90% of the time. 95% against Protoss and Terran, and 85% against Zerg. A little bit less against Zerg because Zerglings can overwhelm the queens before they come up. But against Terran and Protoss especially, just a few more queens. If you really, when in doubt, more queens. But I will save this replay and send it out as well. I mean, all my replays are available on the stream with the replays command. But hopefully, this is helpful. Now go smash your roach brick over people's faces. Should I do that for the other races too? Saw Loco Vic going over the patch notes. Did Loco not explain in his video? That was put out after my video, by the way. That it happens after BlizzCon. Did the patch notes not explain that it